Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you. This is by Hook or by Needles, and I am Sam. And today we are going to do a granny square. Sorry, I'm concentrating on finding the actual project. Oh, where'd I put it? Here we go. Okay. Here is, oops, doesn't want to. Come on, up, out. Oh dear. Okay. Here is the graph for our granny square. And I will just walk you through it very briefly, if I can. Okay, so we're going to start off with our slip knot. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 crochet. We're going to join to the first chain, and then we're going to chain 3, which will count as our first double crochet. 1, 2, 3. We are then going to do 2 more double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 more double crochet, chain 2, 3 more double crochet, and then instead of doing a chain to start to join to the beginning of the round, we're going to do a half double crochet. Now what that actually does is places the hook and loop about midway between these two clusters, which is what you really need to go up through the double crochets, triple clusters of double crochets in the corners. So then we're starting here, we go 3 more double crochet, 2 chain, that is half of this corner cluster. There is no chain, well at least I don't do a chain, I know some people do, but there is no chain. Thank you, Maggie. Where are you off to, darling? Oh dear. Okay, off the right, she's gone. No chain between the clusters, between then, unless you're working between the clusters in the corners. So no chain here. We go straight to the next gap, next chain 2 space, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, no chain, straight to a third corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, next corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Then we go back to where we started and we finish off the corner we started. We do 3 double crochet, and again we join to that top loop with a half double crochet, so that once again we can start in the middle of a corner. Now starting in the middle of a corner actually makes a lot of sense, because it will stop that visible join that you often see. It is still visible if you really look for it, but it's not as visible. Then we're going to go to our next round, which is going to be exactly the same, except in between. So we start off with half of the corner, 3 chain and 2 double crochet, no chain again. We're going to put a cluster of 3 double crochet between, in the gap between these two corners. Then we go to the next corner, cluster between the corners, next corner, and so on, all the way around. We know that this is a half double crochet. We know that these are chains. We know that that's a slip stitch. And we now know that these, one of these singularly, is a double crochet. I have actually created a PDF for this. If I can, I don't think I can actually put the PDF in the posts. I will see. If I can, I will. Otherwise, I'll just put the picture in the PDF in case you want to have a look at it and refer to it at a later date. Okay, so that is our chart that we're going to use. But here we go. So now I started with 4 chain. Remember, this is for beginners. This is for people who have never really picked up a crochet hook before, who don't really know anything about crochet. I've only just really learnt these few stitches that we're going to use, so I don't want to overcomplicate things by doing what is called a magic ring. However, you can get the results of a magic ring without actually using a magic ring, and all you need for that is a decent length, tail length, and you just do your slip knot. We're going to chain for 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to just come straight back here and join to the first chain. I'm just going to get this tail out of my way. And there we have a little ring, and that's the ring we're going to use to put our stitches into to make our square. But at the same time, we're going to work over the tail. Now, we're not going to be working over the tail in order to hide it. No, we're going to work over the tail because when we finished, we can pull on the tail and it will close up this chain. And I'll show you how that works. So our first part was chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We count that as our first double crochet, and our double crochet, loop over into the hole, back up, pull through 2, pull through 2. If you need a refresher on the double crochet, I have got a video for just making the double crochet, which is should be the video previous to this one, but I'll put the link down in below. So double crochet, yarn over again into the loop or the hole or whatever you want to call it, and it's 3 double crochet now. This is called a granny square cluster or granny stitch cluster. It is 3 double crochet together with no chains in between. That's what a cluster is known as, or a granny square cluster is known as. Then we're going to do 2, because we're going to do 2 chain for each corner. So we're going to put a corner over this chain 2. I'm going to loop over, and go into, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, into it again, making sure we're still working over this tail end, pull through 2, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. You will find if you can master a granny square, you are going to, as a beginner, you are going to open up a whole world of things you can make. You can make bags, you can make blankets, you can make jumpers, you can make cardigans, you can make anything really that you want to make, you can make pretty much with a granny square. So chain 2, we're going to do, that's going to be where our second corner goes when we do our next round. You can of course change colors every round if you wish, but we're just going to do this as a solid color. And I've got to have to find my samples that I've done before. I'm not sure if this will be too big or not for that, but if it is, that's fine. We just won't use it. Or it can just be a big sample. Okay, we need to do one more. A square has 4 sides. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put our 4th side there. And a corner has 4. There I go again. A square has 4 corners. So, 1, 2, 3. This will be our 4th corner. Now, as I showed you in the diagram or the graph, we are just going to do a half double crochet. So we're going to put our yarn over. I'm going to go into that 3rd chain, which is the top of the chain. This chain is pretending to be a half double crochet, so we're going to go into that. We only need to pick up 2 strands. We're going to pull our yarn through, and then we're going to pull through all 3. And now you will see that our chain, or our loop, is sort of midway in that corner. And that's where, in this way, we can do the first half of the corner, go all the way around, and then do the second half of the corner. And it helps hide the chain stitches. We're going to loop over. So we're going to do chain 2 double crochet in the first part. So that's just 1/2 of a corner. Every corner has 2 clusters. Now I'm not going to do a chain between the corners. Some people do 1 chain, some people don't. If you find your work cups, then you might need to add a chain. If you find it's sort of all ruffled, like that, gathered, you may need to even reduce these chain and go down to 1, or alternatively go down a hook size. As you know, with all these samples, I always use a DK weight yarn, which is a 3 weight or an 8 ply, and I always use a G hook, which is a 4mm. So into the next corner. You can see that that's what our corners are going to look like. A cluster, 2 chain, and a cluster. But that's what we're going to put in here. So we're going to do a cluster of 3 double crochet. Two chain and 3 double crochet. Okay, can you see what we've done there? We've made a corner. We've got half a corner here. So let's go to our next corner and do exactly the same. 3 double crochet. If you happen to be using, and I don't recommend you using this yarn unless you've got a bit of experience, I guess, under your belt in resizing, because it can be a bit tricky if you don't get it perfectly right. I don't recommend using the all-in-one granny yarn from Red Hearts just yet, mainly because not many people have success with it, but also because you do need to understand how increasing hook sizes and and tension and that sort of thing works really well. You need to sort of have a really good understanding of that to get it right. Okay, chain 2, and we do 3 double crochet again, straight to the 3rd corner, 2 chain, and another cluster. Okay, now you can see we've got a full corner here, full corner there, full corner there. But we've only got half of a corner there, so we need to go back in with our 3 double crochet. And a 3 double crochet. Once again, because I want to start in the corner. And can you see what I mean about that chain not being very noticeable? Some people, when they do a granny square, they actually come back to here, do a slip knot there, and then they sort of, I don't know how they sort of do it, but they do a chain 3 there, and then they try and work back in here, and it just doesn't look right. So yeah, we're going to do a half double crochet again into the 3rd chain, the top chain. So let's find that. That's 1, 2. It's the 3rd one. In we go. Oops. And through all 3. And that acts as 2 chain. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do at least one more round with you. And then I'm going to show you how we can tighten up that space. One and 2. Now, we'll find that we've got a little gap here. We need to put a cluster in there to continue the square to grow. And you'll notice that when you do this, put a cluster in there, 3 double crochet, and that creates another gap. When we come around again, you need to work into that gap. You're basically adding a cluster every time you do a new round. You'll add a cluster to the sides. I'm going to do 3, 2, 3. I'll just show you what I mean here. See, now we have started off in the bottom. Oops, excuse my finger. Started off in the with a 4 and our 4 corners. Then we put our 4 corners in, and that created these little spaces, which we put a cluster in. And that, when we do that, it creates 2 clusters, holes, 2 holes. This one's got 1, this one's got 2. So when we come around again, we're going to put a cluster in there and a cluster in there. And of course, if you can imagine it, it's going to create 3 gaps. So each side will increase with 1 extra gap to put a cluster in. We're going to do 2 chain. And the granny square, like I say, is just so versatile. I haven't done, there's different ways of doing granny squares as well. And I think the next few lessons might be on making those different types. I've already done one for a 50-50 granny square, which is half one colour and half another colour. But I think I'll do another again as I'm doing these for beginners. It's probably a good idea to do one that's a little more basic and clearer, and shows what to do a little bit slower and easier. You can make a full blanket with just going around and around in a granny square. If you do that, some people find that their work twists. You know, it sort of becomes sort of twisted somehow. I've never had that issue. Now, I don't know why that would be, whether it's because I do my increase or I do my joining and my going up for the next level in the corner, or whether it's to do with my tension or what it's to do with. But if you should find that when you look at it, it sort of looks a bit skew, where the center looks like it's turning, and then that center looks like it's turning even more, and then the next row looks like it's turning again, you can counteract this apparently, and like I say, I've never done it, by turning your work at the end of a row. But I wouldn't do that unless you're actually having issues, because I like the look of the right side facing you. So this is the right side, this is the rear side. Now, if you're going to turn your work every round, you're going to have one round that's right-sided, one round that's wrong-sided, and I don't like the look of it personally. Again, it's personal preference. If you want to turn your work, then you can turn your work. No one's going to, police up. Granny square police are not going to come knocking on your door. And I mention it just because, like I say, I don't have an issue with it. I never have had an issue with it, but I do know that there are people out there that do, and I want you to be aware of it in case it happens to you. And then you can also be aware of, hopefully, what will fix it. But I would tend to sort of check things like tension and am I using the right size hook? Is it laying flat? And that sort of stuff first as well. And where we are back at the very first one. First corner. And I'm going to do a half double crochet because I think I may need to do one or two more rows for my sample. Now, what would happen if your work was twisting and you need to turn your work? I would still do the half double crochet there, then I would turn my work, and then you would go up 3, and then you just go back in the opposite direction. You do exactly the same as you've been doing, but you just go in the opposite direction. And you can see what I mean by, now we've got the right side on the back side. You've got the back side on the right side. But you would just continue on as you were normally going. But I don't do that, so I'm just going to undo it because this will be a sample for me to have in my repertoire. So now I'm just going to leave that there because I will finish that off later. You can now see that we have completed 3 rounds. My grandmother always used to teach me the best way to count your rounds is in a corner. You just start from the center and you'd count the corners 1, 2, 3 rounds. Counting the middle, you can go 1, 2, 3, where you count the whole as well. But so it's up to you. Or you can just mark your progress, with a counter or piece of paper and pen, whatever's easiest for you. Now, we've got a hole, a gap here. magic rings are created so that when you crochet, you do your center round, your first row, and then you pull tight on the tail end, and it closes up the hole so it looks a little bit neater. Well, because we worked all over the tail end of this, I can now pull that tail end still, and it does draw. I mean, if I let go, it will expand again, so you do have to pull it in tight, and then you can see it's closed up, and it's closed up probably as tight as you're going to get it even with a magic ring. And then while with the tension on it, thread it to a needle. You would sort of thread through a few threads to tie a knot to tighten it off. Then you would thread away your end. So that's how you can do a magic ring without actually doing a magic ring. You can get the result of a magic ring without all the, some people get very confused with it. To me, I look at it as just doing an incomplete slip knot. But there we go. That is our granny square. So I will leave you with that, or leave that with you. And till next time, when we will possibly, I think we might we'll look at the treble, and then maybe after that, we'll go into some of the other types of granny squares you can do, like the solid granny square, the half and half granny square, the modern granny square, because there's quite a few options that you can do with the granny square to jazz it up a little bit and make it look better. Like I say, don't forget to check out my posts page or tab in my channel. That's where I'm going to put either the PDF or the photo, depending on what YouTube allows me to do, of the granny square PDF graph for you to follow if you're keen to learn how to read graphs. Yeah, that's a good way to start. If you've got the graph there with you and you're following me with the tape, with the video, and following the graph, I think it will help it click a little bit better. So I'll drop that in the posts, or what used to be called the community post section. It's now just called posts. YouTube just loves to change things. Okay, I'll leave that with you. Take care, everybody. Until next time, bye for now.